Hey everybody, it's Jennifer here, and I am going to lead you through making a paper star ornament today. I'm going to tell you all of the supplies that you need. So first you need a diagram of an 8-sided star, and you want to make it however big you want to make your ornament. So you would print this out from your computer, or you can draw one yourself if you can find a video walking you through how to make an 8-sided star. It doesn't have to have the letters on it. I'm going to tell you all the other supplies that you need. You need scissors, a pencil, heavy paper for your template, string if you want to hang your star at the end, markers, some kind of markers so you can trace your star in whatever color you want, a needle if you want to thread it through to make to put the string on at the end, and some kind of paper. And I chose to make my own designs on paper, but this is upcycled from something else. So at some point many years ago, I made a bunch of these label stickers, and I didn't know what to do with them. I had many sheets of them, so I decided to stick them down to a thicker piece of paper and make it double-sided so that my stars would have color and design on both sides. So one of my favorite things to do is to upcycle my old art. So this feels really good to be able to do this. But you can use any kind of paper you want. You can collage your paper, you can paint on both sides, you can just use white paper or construction paper. So any kind of paper will do. And that's about it for the supplies. So I'm going to walk you through step by step how I did it. I'm sure there's multiple ways to do this, but I'll just show you my method. So the first thing you want to do is to be able to transfer this design onto your thicker paper. And there's a couple ways you can do that. You can put it onto a light table and trace it. You can put it up to a window and trace it, but you don't have to trace the whole thing. The beauty of this is that you just need the little tips and then a ruler. So if you choose that direction, you have to get a ruler. And I can show you, I can actually see through the paper enough to make my little dots. All you have to do is figure out where the little ends of your star are. And then draw lines in between them. Whoops, got some ink on that. Actually, it's oil pastel. So you're just going to connect the lines and make your star. You actually don't have to connect all of them. You could actually just, I think it's actually easier to connect the dots. You could just trace it if you wanted to. I usually tell my students there's so many ways from point A to point B. If you find a better way than what I'm telling you, then go for it. Okay, so once you have that traced, you are going to cut it out. And I actually like to cut out like this first, and it makes it so much easier to then cut the rest of it. And that's when I like to use my smaller scissors. Oops. 2 pieces of paper there. This just makes it go faster. And you're going to do this twice. You're going to do it 2 times because you need 2 of these. That's one way to do it. The other way, so yeah, I would say cut 2 of these out. So let's say I cut both of them out because you need 2 templates. You need the star template and then you need the diamond template. And the diamond template is just the exact dimensions of the 2 sides to the star, cut to the middle. So I'll show you how I figured that one out. And again, there's many ways that you can do it. I just drew a line like this. Across like that. And then you'll actually see through the paper that you want to connect this dot where those make an X like that. So you need a full star and a diamond template. Oops. Okay. So that's how I got my star and my diamond. Okay. Once you have your templates all set up, I'm going to move some of these away. Put this up here so you can see it. Okay, so I like to cut smaller pieces so that, but you can either use the large sheet and start to, if you have a larger sheet of paper, you can start up at the top and you can just go and trace it like that. But I was doing this for a while the other night and I kind of feel like this works best for me. So I'll show you how I did it. Maybe take a color that matches your design. And you trace it. If it's slipping around while you trace it, you can tape it to your paper. If it's really hard for you to hold it down with your non-dominant hand. So you're going to trace that once. And if it's hard for you to see the lines, then you can use a different color. And then we need 4 of these. So I'm going to try to get the most out of my paper. That's 1. 2. 3. 4. And then I take my bigger scissors. If you want to make multiples at the same time, you could stack up your paper and cut all the shapes at the same time. But this paper is so thick that I can't really do that. It would be hard for me to do that. So now I'm going to cut my diamonds first. They don't have to be perfect. They can be a little wonky or a little crooked. These scraps could also be really fun to use, so I would put them aside, and if you wanted to make garland with them or something fun later on, you could do that. Okay, I've got my 4 diamonds, and now I need my star shape. Every year I make paper star ornaments to hang on my neighbors' doors because I live in a condo. That's really fun to gift everybody with a little handmade ornament. I've gotten cookies and homemade breads and things like that back. It's just such a lovely time, even though I don't really celebrate these holidays like everybody else does. It's just kind of nice to connect when everybody's in a festive space, and it's okay to not be in a festive space as well. Okay, so I've got my 8-sided star and I've got my 4 diamonds. I have lots of fancy tools and I like to use them, but you do not need them. But when I fold paper, I like to use a bone folder. It's not mandatory, it's totally optional, but I took a bunch of bookmaking classes in college, and so I learned how to use tools like this. So you could also use the back end of a Sharpie or your fingernail to crease the paper. So you just figure out which way you want to fold your paper. You can look at your designs. And you fold each one of your diamonds in half. That's the next step. And since I used stickers to decorate my paper, that's happening, but it's okay because I made a whole bunch of them. See, even a Sharpie works. The end of the Sharpie. But yeah, I'm sure that most of you are not gonna use stickers to decorate your paper. There's so many ways that you could decorate it, with acrylic paint, with watercolor, with, like I said, collage, even cutting them out of newspaper, or old dictionary pages might look kind of cool. But any double-sided design will do. Okay, so I've got my 4 diamonds are folded. This was the only part that I had to kind of experiment with, how far to cut the slots in these, because the video that I watched on Instagram was just like a 1-minute video and it was sped up, and I just kind of watched it a whole bunch of times, and so I didn't come up with this design. But you just cut it about 2/3 of the way up in the middle. So if you need a pencil, if you need to make a pencil line with a ruler, you can do that. But I pretty much measured in the center of the folded diamond, and I cut about 2/3 of the way up on all of them. And don't worry if you cut too far up, it's okay. It'll still work. If you don't cut far enough up, it might not work. So you might have to cut more. And that happened to me a couple of times. So then what you do is you just pick the first side of your 8-sided star to put that through like this. So you're just opening up the slot and sticking it on there, and you want it to poke through like this, and then you pull it all the way to the center. Now you'll see my paper is it bends but I kind of like that. If you don't like that, then don't use really thick paper. I think thinner paper won't warp like that, but I kind of like the way it looks. It just looks really natural and handmade, and I just like the vibe. So you can do it however you want with whatever kind of paper, and you can experiment with different kinds of paper, but I have a feeling that it's because I'm using thick paper to start with, and then I'm putting stickers on both sides, and it's like 3 layers of paper. So it probably won't happen to you if you're using thinner paper. So the next step is to skip one of the 8 sides of the star and go to the next one. So you're not going to go to the one right next to it. You're going to skip that and go to the next one. And you're going to do the same thing. You're going to stick your paper, the slot, through your star like that, and push it all the way to the center. You want those to touch in the center. And then take your third one, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to skip the next side, and we're going to push it onto that one. Sometimes you have to kind of pull it apart a little bit, especially if you're using thick paper, and pull it all the way down to the center. And then skip the last one, take the last piece of paper, open it up a little bit, and stick it there, and pull it all the way to the center. Now you can see when I pull all the ones to the center on that side, they come apart. So you may have to cut more, or you may have to just kind of tweak it a little bit so that they all touch in the center. Now, it doesn't have to touch in the center, and if you're using thick paper, you could just end here, and that would be it. You don't have to glue it if you don't want to. But I liked the look of the little bit of glue in the center, so I'm going to use hot glue, but that is optional. So I want to pull on both sides just to make sure that they both touch each other. I've got a little hot glue gun here, and I'm going to gently squeeze it and put a dollop of hot glue on that. So you can see that that hot glue is in the center. It's just a little dollop. And I'm going to wait until it dries for a couple seconds. There's probably a couple things you could do if you wanted to put a bead on there or a sequin. I don't have any readily available, so I'm just going to do the simplest version. And then I'm going to put another one on this side. This way it won't fall apart if someone takes it off their door. And I'm going to put the hot glue on the other side. And then I can't put it down right now because that hot glue is still hot and wet, and that side is still hot and wet. So I'm going to just look at my star and see how it looks. And I love seeing from all the different directions, because it is a sculpture, how all of the words kind of blend together. It almost kind of reminds me of a weaving. I've been doing a lot of weaving with students lately, and it's kind of fun to see a 3-dimensional object that reminds me of a weaving. Okay, so once it's dry, then you can set it down. Get a little bit of string, and there's so many different ways that you can put the string on. Like I said, you could glue it, especially since I have my hot glue gun out, I could just glue it. You can take a needle and thread, and you can thread it on there however you want to put your finishing touches on. I just thread it in there a tiny bit, and then I look for a little sort of hole, and I try to figure out if I want the words to be red exactly like that, or do I want to hang it on a little bit of an angle? And I feel like this one would look cool on an angle. So you can put it right in the center if you want, or you can go through the natural hole that's already there from the little slot that you cut or slit that you cut. But I just threaded it right through there. I'm gonna double knot it. Just by making a loop and putting the end of my string through there. Don't think you really need to double knot it because it is just a paper sculpture, and usually that should be fine. My knots did not line up, so I'm going to triple knot it. Okay, there we go. It is finished, and now you can give it as a gift. So thank you again for all of your support. From my heart to yours, I hope you have a lovely holiday break, whether or not you celebrate. I hope you get a little bit of rest, and Happy New Year. If you want to follow me, go ahead, click the follow, click the like, click whatever you want. I'm also doing journaling classes on Friday nights from 5 to 7 on Zoom, and I teach locally in the East Bay at Kala Art Institute, and doing watercolor classes in January, so check out kala.org, or send me a message. Thanks for watching. Bye.